My name is Athena Kyriakopoulou, and I'm an impact searcher. I'm a traditionally funded searcher who is focusing on buying a business that has an impact.
Awesome, thank you. So could you describe kind of the difference between an impact search fund and like a traditional or regular search fund?
Absolutely. I don't think that there's very much difference. The way that we've defined it, the way that we've defined impact search is a traditional search fund, very standard. We're looking for recurring revenues. We're looking for an industry that's growing, some healthy cash flow, distributed industry, all of the normal markers that a searcher might look for. We have added impact as a criteria. This is very common for searchers to do, not to add impact, but to add some sort of flavor. Because of the nature of search, it's a very personal endeavor for the searcher. And so it's important that they're passionate about what they do. So many searchers have focuses such as a geographic focus. Maybe they're tied to a city because of family, or maybe they have a strong background and experience in agriculture or education. So they're searching in that industry focus. For me, my whole career, I've been working in renewables and social enterprises. So impact is a big part of that. And that's why there's a focus for me.
Awesome, thank you. So kind of building off of that, um, how do you view the ability of search funds to have an environmental impact or a social impact?
I believe that search funds and specifically small, medium businesses have a huge potential for impact. If you look at their contribution to our economy in the US, it is significant. They are the foundations of our communities and our economies. And so I think when you talk about positive environmental impact, it's got to be a grassroots movement. It's got to be from the ground up. There are a lot that big multinational companies can do on this matter, but ultimately it takes action on the ground. And where is that most present? In small, medium businesses. They are embedded in their communities, not just because their employees and their owners live there, but their clients do, their suppliers, their customers. Everything is very, very close to the ground, and they know what that individual community requires from an environmental perspective. This is very important when you think about it. It's an aspect of globalization, right? Thinking global, acting local. The environmental needs of California are extremely different to the environmental needs of Minnesota or Florida or Vermont. You can't have a one size fits all. So that's why small businesses, I think, have a vital role to play in that.
Amazing, great, thank you. So just similarly, do you think, but also kind of on a different note, just kind of looking at jobs and searching, do you think search funds and something like Search Funder has given more opportunities to women in certain roles and like CEO roles?
I think Search Funder has done a fantastic job in highlighting the work that women searchers are doing. I think that the search community is far from where it should be in 2022. But then again, most industries are. We have many lengths to go at to incorporate women, minorities, people of color, to a greater extent and to an accurate representation within the industry that compares to our society outside. The latest numbers that they say is there's about 7% female searchers in the US out of all of the traditional searchers. I think that this number can increase. I think search funds is fantastic for women, and there are so many advantages to have by being a woman in search.
Great, thank you. And just similar to that, just building off of that, how do you view the future of searching?
That's a really great question. I think that impact will be a much stronger focus within search. I've already spoken to several potential searchers who want to incorporate some impact perspective into their search. I know it's already been a part of that of many searchers before, not explicitly so, but it's been on their mind. They want to do better. The very nature of search is about improving businesses, and you can't improve businesses without improving working conditions, staff, quality. So already there's an inherent aspect to it. So I think that that's going to become a greater part of the community. I think it's growing. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. I think it's great as a searcher. I think that there are a lot of businesses out there that need the energy and enthusiasm that searchers bring. I don't know. I think it's going to go through some trials and tribulations like every industry does. And there's going to be, rather than one way of doing search, there's going to be branches of different search methodologies.
Wonderful. Thank you. I didn't really, going into this, I didn't know a lot about search funds, and I'm definitely really interested in involved in any kind of like impact and trying to help better our environment or social. So this has been really great. Those are the questions that I actually have for you. Do you have any last things you want to say?
I think with regards to impact in search, I think I mentioned this, it's not a new thing. There are already many searchers out there who either intentionally or unintentionally have bought businesses that have a strong impact. And by impact, I mean a positive difference that is above and beyond what the business would do as normal. But saying that, I'm very positive about the future. I think search funds have a lot going for them, and I highly encourage anyone who's interested in them to explore further. And Search Funder is a great resource for that.
So my name is Gautam Basu. I'm the managing partner of True North Search. We are Northern Europe's premier entrepreneurship through acquisition accelerator based in Helsinki, Finland.
Awesome. Okay, so what do you define as an impact search fund and kind of the difference between a classic idea of a search fund?
Sure. Well, I think most of us know the search fund model, the classical search fund model. I think that the impact search fund is including the impact angle. So specifically around, let's say, measurable, beneficial for social and environmental and governance standards. So incorporating a lot of the ESG type of metrics and measurements around that, and combining the classical search fund model with the impact investing angle.
Awesome. All right. So just going off of that, because that's very similar to my next question, how do you view the ability of search funds to kind of have this environmental or social impact?
Sure. I think that when you're doing the search, when an actual searcher is conducting the search to acquire a company, one way to incorporate is to integrate these type of social and environmental metrics or aspects into the investment criteria. So when they're actually looking for a business, to ensure that certain environmental and social constructs are in place for the company that the searcher will aim to acquire. And those that essentially don't meet those criteria, having a plan either to introduce those or kind of not going forward with the acquisition.
Great. All right. And kind of similar to that, but looking more at the past, can you think of any examples of where you've seen a cool amount of social impact or perhaps environmental from the use of impact search fund?
Yeah, so we are actually working on a deal currently where we've actually incorporated some of these, specifically environmental criteria. I think one good mechanism is to basically see if certain certifications are in place, like ISO 14,000, I believe, and essentially understanding what the business, if it's a traditional manufacturing business, how they're actually handling their waste. Are they doing it in environmentally friendly manner? And is there, let's say, any kind of external certifications that they have? That's one way to do it. The other thing is, around the social aspect. Do they have, let's say, diversity and inclusion embedded within their core values? What is the level of employee health and well-being? Do they have programs around that? And how transparent their supply chain is, because we've seen now over the course of the last year quite a few problems with supply chains. And so if you're looking at supply chains, extended supply chains, do they have visibility and transparency into their tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers? Are they engaged in, for example, bad ethical practices such as child labor or using conflict minerals within their supply chain? And having that visibility in place so that it's there and addressing it as such.
Great, thank you so much. That's really interesting to hear about. So kind of a little bit different, but just I know search fund kind of involves the topic of CEOs and stuff. How do you think search funds or impact search funds in particular have been able to kind of change the idea of the classic idea of what a CEO is, and possibly give more opportunities for like women or minorities to be able to hold roles as CEOs?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I would say that a lot of it is stemming from just the social consciousness. I think people are more consciousness, and I think especially millennials. In the millennial generation, they want to have CEOs, leaders, and companies that are dedicated to environmental and sustainable business practices. And so I think that integrating that component it's good for business, it's good for society. So I think it's almost like a how would I say, kind of a trend that especially with the younger generations, the millennial generation, even Generation Z, where they expect businesses to act ethically, to have sustainable business practices. So I think part of it is stemming from culture and the changes in that.
Great, thank you. So right now I actually just have one more question. It's kind of a more general question. So
Yeah.
before I do that, is there anything else you want to just say about impact search funds? Or?
No, I think that it's a relatively new thing. Impact investing as a whole. I mean, last figure I read that it was around $700 billion globally in terms of impact investing. So it is something that is very attractive for investors, and I think there is that impetus. We mentioned the millennial generation, Generation Z, but also from just investors in general. They want to see businesses, whether it's ETA, entrepreneurship through acquisition, classical search funds, and so they're really pushing this agenda. So I think that this is a mechanism for folks to really go in the right direction when it comes to environmental and social practices for business.
Wonderful, thank you. So my final question is just, how do you view the future of search funds? And kind of, you can talk about impact search funds or just all around search funds.
Yeah. So I think search funds, if we look at the numbers, have grown quite a lot, especially in the last 4 or 5 years. Of course, in the U.S., where the model was actually introduced, It's a fairly mature model. Here in Europe, where we are, it's less mature. It came over the other side of the pond a bit later. And where we're stationed in Northern Europe, in Nordics, Scandinavia, it's very new. So I see the future as bright. I think more folks will go down this path. It's an alternative form of entrepreneurship. So graduates from university, MBA programs, business schools, it offers students and graduates another path, right? So I think it's the future. Future is positive. I think even acquisitions, the rate of acquisitions has gone up. Whether you're doing the classical search fund model or the self-funded or incubated search, they've gone up. I think I did hear that the returns may take a hit because it's just, let's say, so many people going after it right now. But I think the future is positive for that. And I think when you incorporate things like the impact component into search funds or entrepreneurship through acquisition, I think it's a positive thing.
My name is Michael Gilligan, and I have had a history over my professional life of working in finance and private equity in particular. I'm the co-founder of the later stage private equity business for Bank of Boston when they were setting up a captive, and then spun out of there and was co-founder of Heritage Partners, a middle market private equity firm in Boston, working with a minority equity recapitalization strategy who were looking to get some liquidity. History with Heritage, and built some great relationships with some great entrepreneurs and family-owned businesses, and built some nice experience. In the past 10 years, I've been focusing my life's work more with a purpose, and started off partnering with some social entrepreneurs, doing some board leadership work for nonprofits. And in the past several years have been focusing my personal investing and my work as a consultant and a co-investor on impact strategies around quality jobs. And most recently, I'm in the process of launching with several partners a search fund of funds called the Promise Venture, which is in existence to level the playing field around wealth creation for Black and other underrepresented entrepreneurs. So that's my background.
Thank you. Awesome. That's great. So that kind of a little bit leads into my next question, but just could you describe to me what you think an impact search fund is, and kind of the difference, or if there is a big difference between that and the kind of traditional search fund?
Sure. What I would say about a search fund that is hoping to have impact is that it goes beyond creating, or the shareholders, I should say, and then thinking in terms of the impact that the product or service or the entity of being in business can have on society, in addition to whatever financial value it creates.
Great, thank you. So just building off of that, how do you view the ability for the future of search funds to have this environmental and social impact?
Could you repeat that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Just how do you view the ability of search funds to kind of have this environmental and social impact?
I think they're very well positioned. I believe that the small business, lower middle market environment is prime for anyone with an intentional thought about having impact and helping community members in whatever way, or helping our society around climate, or the environment generally, around some of the social issues that we face. and to be responsible stewards of their investment lends itself perfectly to the search fund space. The other aspect of a search fund is that it's a single entity, and so it's in a position to have a very clear focus on what it would like its impact to be, and has control over the entrepreneur who's driving it and leading it, has the opportunity to also be very intentional about delivering on that impact.
Great, thank you. So I kind of want to build off what you were talking about earlier about kind of the wealth distribution, and I was curious about the kind of the concept of a CEO and how you think search funds or impact search funds have been able to kind of change the idea of what a classic CEO kind of looks like and being able to give more opportunities to other people.
Sure. So the fabulous thing about the search fund market is that anyone who has the desire and the capability is in a position to find a company that is available for acquisition, where the current shareholders are interested in selling, and they're able to strike a deal with those shareholders and reach an agreement on buying the business. And it's entirely open to them, to any individual, to be in a position to do that and to acquire a business, as long as they're able to attract investors and raise the capital in order to make it happen. And what the Promise Venture is, intending to do is to make sure that folks who might otherwise not have the same access because of the community that they come from, for whatever reason, that they don't have the same network of potential investors, or they don't get the same response from the investors that are available, that we can help provide greater access to those entrepreneurs to ensure that they have not only the capital that they need in order to achieve their objective and to buy the business, but also the other resources they need to do it successfully, and to have the supports in doing the analysis about the business and coming up with strategic planning and all of the activities that CEO needs to drive in identifying a business for sale, for purchase, and then buying it and creating value for everyone involved. We look to partner with them to make sure that they have the resources available to make sure they succeed.
Great, thank you. So that's really cool to hear. I only have one question left. It's kind of a more general question. So just before that, I wanted to know if you have anything else you'd just like to say about impact search funds, the work you've done, or just to anything else you'd like to say.
Sure. I'm excited that you're doing this work because I think the more visibility that we bring to the impact opportunity, the better, and it helps raise everyone's consciousness around it. I think that there's been a lot of progress made in that respect over the past several years, and yet there's still a lot of people that are available to be informed more fully about the potential for impact-oriented owners of businesses and the value that can bring both socially and economically, because I believe there's a synergy between the social impact that owners might seek to have and the financial value that they're able to create in doing so. Generally, I think there's great opportunity here, and it just, as we've been saying, it just requires folks to be intentional about it and go after it. And that's what we're doing at the Promise Venture. The other feature of the Promise Venture that I wanted to describe for you is that, while our overarching objective is to contribute to leveling the playing field around wealth creation for Black and other underrepresented entrepreneurs, that that's the kind of overarching objective from an impact standpoint. But we also believe that that is able to be extended to include all of the stakeholders of the businesses that are acquired by those entrepreneurs and that we partner with in investing behind them. And we're, as an example, we're big believers in quality jobs. So bringing fairness and equity to the employee relationship and making sure that everyone in the business is being paid a living wage, has access to fair and equitable benefits, also has the opportunity for professional development, and the potential to grow a job and perhaps reach higher compensation. And also things like ownership opportunities that are all ways of having the economics of that are available in the value creation process be also available to all the employees. And we can even think about that extending to other community members and other stakeholders like the suppliers and the customers of the businesses that we're dealing with. And that if we're delivering on the impact and enabling the business to be that also has the potential vendors and all of the community members in the community that business operates in.
Great, thank you. And of course, thank you for mentioning just the work I'm doing. It's really cool that I get to kind of interview people and work with them. So thank you for that response.
Sure.
Really cool. A lot of things to work with there. Yeah, and so just my final question is just really general. How do you view the future of search funds from here?
I think that the future of search funds is very exciting, and there's lots of upside still. While there's been great success already, and the businesses that have been acquired through search funds have already delivered a high degree of value, I personally believe that is sustainable. That we can expect to see that play out for much more time because of the size of the businesses that are involved, and just the way the private capital markets work, and the efficiency that drives a lot of the capital formation. That has meant and continues to mean that most of that private capital is being organized in $100 million chunks and greater. And it in many ways, $100 million has become the floor for private capital. Some people might say 50 million, but whatever, it's a large amount of capital. If you want to diversify your portfolio, that means that 100 million, it's probably at least $10 million or more that's going to be invested in a business. And so for a small business that only needs $2 to $3 million of equity, those funds that exist in the market are not playing in that field. So that, in my view, leaves the lower middle market, the small business market that the search funds concentrate in, wide open for this kind of format and vehicle to be used kind of on a both an individual and a portfolio basis. But still in some format of search fund, whether search fund entrepreneur, either as someone who drives the process themselves and raises the capital, or they affiliate with somebody who helps them do that. I see a bright future.